looks interesting. And the fact that you just got the chance to work in another country and like experience another culture is probably the biggest thing for me that made me apply. And I always knew that I wanted to do something like numbers related in my career. So like I saw that it's a bank, so they probably deal with like financials and all of that. And I was eager to apply because of the fact that I first of all got the encouragement from my friends, but also it looked an exciting opportunity to not be in Ghana for the summer, to be honest.
Interesting. And I know many people can relate to what you just shared, wanting to work with numbers and also wanting to just experience how the corporate setting is internationally. To Bibiri, I'm going to ask my next question. So before starting the internship, what did you think life at Bank of America would look like? And once you started, what surprised you the most?
Okay. Yeah. Hi again, everyone. So I think from my side, I would need to give a bit of background because prior to doing the Bank of America internship, I had completed two other internships, I believe. The first one was with development finance institutions. That was ECOWAS Bank in Lome, Togo. That was an SEO Africa placement in 2018. That was my first internship. At the time, I was studying veterinary medicine at the University of Ibadan. So I'm not from a finance background. Um, However, I think one thing I would say helped out was the fact that for every degree you study, the point is for you to be able to analyze incomplete information, make decisions with real consequences, and sort of think critically under pressure. And I feel that these were the top three things that sort of positioned me to apply to the internship. So after my first internship, I went on to intern with Goldman Sachs for spring investment banking as well in London. It was a very nice internship, quite short, I must say, a month thereabout, just to give an insight into what investment banking was at the time, considering I had previously done a DFI internship. So by the time I was finishing university, it made sense for me to sort of decide what I wanted to do for my career full time. So, and since I had sort of done two internships, I was currently a veterinary doctor. I knew, okay, maybe I didn't want to practice. I wanted to do something different. So America opening came up at the time. And naturally, I just applied since I had already done a couple of internships prior. One thing I would say for me that was a bit different or compared to my previous internships, I would say, is that Bank of America is somewhere that's very academic. That's the word I would use. So while I was in two previous organizations prior to joining Bank of America, um, the other two, I would mention which, can be quite fast paced and they're not really giving you room to sort of pause, learn, and understand. And I think one thing that really stood out for me was the fact that I needed somewhere I could sort of get grounded and actually understand the tenets of finance because I wasn't coming from a traditional finance background. So Bank of America gave me that. They had a lot of courses that's available to sort of learn. We had the body system where I was assigned to a body who was also an SU Africa alum, Sophia Derry. So she was very helpful in sort of helping me get settled, understand the workings of the place. It was during COVID, by the way, so it was fully virtual. So I think that was something that stood out for me. And by the time I got my return offer, I was a no-brainer to say yes. Yeah.
Hello. Are we also allowed to ask some questions? Hello.
Hi, Miguel. Yes, I
Yes.
did.
Yes. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Yes. My name is Miguel. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya.
Nice to meet you, Miguel.
Yes. And unfortunately, I've been asking the question. I'm only seeing my
Hi, hi,
hello.
Miguel.
Yes.
Sorry,
Thank you,
there will
Elise.
be a Q&A portion at the end of this session. So you can, if you have a question, please save it for the Q&A session.
Okay. I'm guided.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on. Thank you for sharing that, Bibire. Moving on to the next question. Janet, oh, this is actually to both of you. What does a day in a life look like for you based on your various divisions? And how do you balance that with your personal commitments or other personal work? I think I'll start with Janet for this one.
Um, just trying to connect my Bluetooth. What does a day in the life look like for me? For me, it looks like this. So, and in terms of the second part of your question, which is the balance. So for me, like in within the credit department, now I'm going to just throw out a quick question, just quickly show up your hand if you can answer this question. How many of you have ever lent money to someone? Like if your mother or your friend has asked you, like, can you borrow me like 5 naira or 10 cedis, and you've borrowed money to someone? If you have, raise your hand. Okay, I see Nila, Nori, or Mina. Okay, cool. So at least 3 people have done it. So if you've ever done that, ask someone to borrow you money, your biggest concern is usually whether or not they are going to pay you back. And this concern is what we call credit risk. So in my role, I'm assessing the credit risk for all our investment banking clients who we are who we are lending money to. And a day in my life looks like opening the financial statements of these clients and doing some form of analysis to see how are they looking like in terms of cash flow, what's the risk with lending with them, and but also what is their risk rating. And some of you may have heard of something like a credit score, which is assigned to people. Now, in Bank of America, for all of our investment banking clients, we also assign to them a credit score. This is what we call a risk rating. And those who are familiar with Moody's and S&P would know what a risk rating is. And so we are the team internally that assigns that. And so in order to do that, we need to conduct financial analysis on the client. You know, the three cash flows, the three statements, the balance sheets, income statement, investment statements. We would typically like have to do an analysis, look at these three numbers to decide what are some of the key ratios that we think, well, we know what the key ratios are within the credit business, but we kind of take a look at them to assess like cash flow and for each of the clients. And so typical day for me is doing all of these things I've listed, but also speaking to officers, which is my credit officers, which will be like my manager, people who have been in the company more than 10 years or so, and presenting a case to why we should lend this money to these people. So that's what a day looks like. How I balance my personal life is like some of the things that currently is important to me is just maintaining fitness, and I try to make sure that within my day, I'm either going to the gym or like I have my own bike that I ride into work. So I try to go to the gym at least 3 times in the working week between Monday and Friday. And we have a gym in the office that I use usually during the lunchtime periods, and just like go join a group of people from the bank, work out, and then come back to work. So that's how I try to balance that by taking breaks in between my working day and then going to like do some form of workout, either with a group of people, and then coming back to it. And I don't work on weekends. So it's good to like spend time with family or friends in London, just to
Interesting. Interesting. I love the part where you said you ride a bike to work. That's quite, I mean, surprising and quite a unique way to fit in some exercise into your daily routine. And coming over to you, Bipri, what about you? How do you balance life and work?
Okay, I'm not sure if you want me to sort of detail my daily life, I guess. Okay, I think it's good to have Janet's perspective first because I'm a different animal entirely. So no, I don't bike to work. because I have a family, I have a child, I have a daughter, so I sort of have to spread my already thin time across the people that matter. So a day in the life for me looks quite different because I start off my day getting my daughter for nursery, and then I grab a quick breakfast and head to the office. So Janet mentioned something quite important. What is credit analysis? What is lending generally? It is, if I borrow this person this money, can they return it? That's the question we're trying to answer. What I spend my day doing, apart from looking at financials, that's a part of it, but I'll say it's 20%. What I would sort of do most of the days, liars and discuss with stakeholders across board. Now, credit analysis is a very important part of the bank, and that's because we're making a very key decision. We're talking, can I lend this company $2 billion? Would they return it? That's a lot of money. So therefore, you have to have a lot of conversations, right? And some of the teams will tend to confer with will be debt capital markets. So these guys do the bonds. I don't know if you know what a bond is. The bonds, it's type of instrument or debt instrument. We talk to the coverage guys. The coverage guys are the guys who actually go out to sell these loans or promote these loans. We also talk to the legal documentation and deal structure guys. So these guys are the lawyers. They want to look at the proposed agreements to tell us how tight it is or how difficult it will be for the client to not repay us. So this sort of takes the bulk of the day because you're sort of talking to all these people to get more information as to how to assess the risk. So when I have this information from them, then I move to financials, like Janet rightfully said, and then we make a proposition or a proposal to the bank saying, I think this company is great, we can lend this amount to the company, or I don't think this company is great, we should not lend to this company. That's the crux of it. For non-negotiable things, work-life balance, I work weekends. Sorry, it's yeah. So I think truthfully, you have to sort of find that balance. So in my current bank, I'm an associate, which is a bit more senior. So therefore, I tend to have analysts I have to sort of also mentor and review their work. So that way, apart from my day-to-day, I also have added responsibility. So because of this, I can't afford to not work weekends. However, I do have non-negotiable days that I sometimes take off. So my manager knows sometimes that in a month, I have maybe like 2-3 days where I'm coming to the office by 9 and leaving by 5. Nobody disturbs me after. And that is it. But I think that for you to get to the point where you're sort of able to make such demands, apart from your regular holidays, you need to prove that you are a stable and valuable member of the team. So that's where you need to show that you understand your credits, you understand your portfolio, you are also good with your technical as well. You also need to be good with people because, believe it or not, banking or finance is a people's business. Yeah. What we're trying to do is sort of move money from point A to point B. And who are the end users? People, exactly. So you need to be a people's person. You need to also understand your credit. You need to know the technical part of things. And that way you can then place demands like I'm placing, saying for 3 days in this month, nobody contacts me after 5. Yeah, that's what I have to say.
Interesting. And I love the dynamic from Gina's perspective to your perspective, and also how you're giving insights to our audience on some of the things they really need to look out for coming into the credit analyst role or the credit associate role. So, to our attendees today, I hope you are taking notes. Moving on to the next question. What specific lessons from the SG Africa program did you carry directly into your internships? And how did that preparation set you apart those 10 weeks? I'm going to start with Jeanette for this one. It's a bit of not following plan, but I want to start with Jeanette. Jeanette, can you tell us a little bit about those 10 weeks and the training you received from SU Africa?
I don't actually remember if the training was 10 weeks now. Was it 10 weeks? It felt shorter. Um, SEO Africa, I would say, like, as an African, like most of you are, I had lived my whole life in Ghana. I went to uni in Ghana. I had done like, I don't know if any people from Ashesi are on the call. Put up your hand, let's see. But I had done a few things that Ashesi like kind of challenges and competitions that might be international. But other than that, I had never worked overseas. And so it was my first time working overseas when I did the summer internship. And a way in which SEO was very useful is understanding the culture dynamic of like what it's like to be working in Ghana or Nigeria. In my cohort, we were just like a bunch of Ghanaians and Nigerians, maybe one person from Rwanda, I think, but then and everyone else was from Ghana or Nigeria. And it was essentially like, what is the culture dynamic that you should be looking out for? Like some of the things, I think the key thing to me, at least growing up, is like you don't speak until you're spoken to. And it takes a mindset shift. It might not be the same for Nigerians as it is for Ghanaians, I don't know. But from the Ghana perspective, like and it took a mindset shift during the SEO training to like be there and be ready to raise up your hand. Like even as a person, whoever was speaking during SEO training, like at the end of the training, everyone, do you have a question? Your hand needs to be up. Like just getting into the mindset of asking questions, the habit of it, the attitude of it, and like the preparation to ask everyone and anyone a question. If you get the opportunity to be in the room with them, I think that's the biggest change that it was for me. And like prepare myself. It wasn't perfect when I started, but I think the biggest thing was like prepare myself to be ready to speak, even if no one has asked me a question or even if no one has spoken to me, and sharing what was on my mind. And the other thing is probably more on the soft side, but there were so many things that I didn't know, like all relating to culture. I think it was a big culture awareness with SEO. Like some of the things that I don't know, some people might not necessarily agree with, but it was like the whole like women shaving their legs, like which was such a norm in America and in London, like for Western women to just shave the hair on their hands and their legs. And like if you hadn't done that, maybe some people would look at you and be like, oh, that's a lot of hair on your skin as a woman. But I never knew about this until SEO training. And I already went into my internship like with that in my mind, like of like how people perceive you, because it's crazy. But I think the whole thing about what is your first impression, that a lot of people think that it might not matter how you look physically or like what aura you're given. SEO made me realize that it actually does matter, from how you shake a person when you meet the person, or if you met someone in an elevator, if you were in a meeting room, the handshake that you were given. And I think the biggest thing for my SEO trainings was more the soft skills, is more than anything. And I'm grateful for that training.
Amazing remarks. And SEO training really does set the tone for your internships. So to our audience, even as you are preparing to apply for this program, know that the SEO training is comprehensive and it's really going to set you up for whichever internship that you choose to apply for. And to be brave, do you have something to add up to this question? How did the SEO training prepare you for your Bank of America internship?
Well, I guess Jerry has said most of it. So yeah, I guess. But I think one thing I'll say is this. She did say something about the natural affinity for Africans to be more docile, but she said specifically Ghanaians, and I do agree with her. So while, our Ghanaian counterparts are more maybe humble, I don't know if it's called humility, I don't know, or, calmer, you see Nigerians who are more energetic, more assertive, more forceful. So I think the split that I was able to sort of take out of it is there was a balance. You can't be too aggressive. You can't be too humble. You need to strike that balance literally in between. And that was one thing SU Africa helped me do. So there's something we call anyhowness in Nigeria. If my Nigerian folks are here, they know what that means. Anyhowness. It means nonchalance, basically, as a people. That thing where you don't care, you're exactly, see, I can say, people, yeah, you're coming late to meetings. For example, our Zoom meeting today, I don't know what went wrong, but okay, that's not the SEO way, So things like that, you can't come late to meetings. You can't just do things anyhow. You can't speak anyhow. You can't laugh with your mouth full of food. That's exuberance. That's aggression that Nigerians tend to exhibit, or maybe I was just I as a person would have tended to exhibit prior to the SEO training, was sort of changed. I began to see things from a different perspective. You are not the only one in the room. There are others. The natural Nigerian would have 5 questions in a meeting like this, ignoring others, but that's not good. What you want to do is ask one question, give the floor to others to ask other questions. And if you have more questions, check around the room, see if there's nobody else, then ask another. So this restraint and this sort of courtesy was something that I was able to sort of learn from training. Because prior to that, everyone is like, I have a question, another one, another one, another one. For you are speaking 5-part questions. That's not nice. It's not decent. So what you want to do is think of your questions, ensure they're well thought out, so that if possible, you can ask in a single go a clear, succinct question that targets all your concerns. That way, you're not speaking over people, right? And you don't come across as brash. Another thing that Janet rightly said, your perception, how you look, trust me, everybody judges the book by the cover. And I'll be very honest with you. Here, I have seen cases where subtly people decided, I don't think they're a good candidate because of the way their tie was crooked or the way the dress was a bit too high. These things happen. We are humans. This bias creepy. So SU Africa taught me, be safe with your colors. Choose reasonable colors when you're dressing up. Don't mix red and yellow and go to the office, please. Try to, I don't know, you're not a goldfish. Try to sort of keep things decent, do things in moderation. Nigerians are vibrant, we are loud. Your makeup, tone it down. Don't be doing wine blush, to the office. So little things like this were the soft skills, And I think that's where the key thing, like Jenna actually said, is the soft skills that keep you here longer. Anybody can learn how to do a DCM model. Anybody can learn how to do an LBO, but it takes someone who has grit and who has humility to actually relearn lifelong traits and patterns. Yeah, I think I'll leave it at that.
Amazing, amazing insights. And you've touched on something that truly gives our audience something to think about. Thank you for sharing that, Bibre and Janet. Moving on to the next question. As an African professional in global finance, what has been your biggest challenge and how have you turned it into a strength or a perspective that others in the room don't always have? So this question will go to Janet.
Thank you for the very difficult question, which I'll now pass on to Vivire. I'm joking. My biggest challenge as an African and how it shaped my more current situation. I think like there have been so many challenges, honestly. Vivire even knows, like there have been so many challenges. And I think the biggest one is probably speaking to some of the things that Vivire has said about like comparing the Ghanaian nature to the Nigerian nature, and I'm not making this a blanket statement to say every Ghanaian is like super quiet or like reserved, but like I'm probably on the more reserved side. Like I'm definitely learning all the more to be a bit more outspoken. But in my career, I was very much on the more reserved side of things, and just like one thing I'll say is that because of my nature of like just observing, you know how sometimes like if you very well saying the Nigerian person wants to ask like 4 questions, like only you have questions to ask, and the Ghanaian person might have 6 questions and will be like quiet, waiting for them to say, "Oh, Janet, do you have a question?" Like that's always me. Before when I started, that my biggest challenge was like speaking up when I have a question or when I have things to say, which SEO definitely helped me a lot. But when I got on the job, I was still like, keeping things within myself and not bringing them out as much. And I think like, although that was kind of difficult, but I think it gave me a good opportunity to just sit back and observe everyone and everyone's like attitude, like in team meetings. Like I felt like I could probably tell you a lot about like all the directors, VPs, analysts, associates across the team that other people may not have observed as much because they were like trying to also get their word out or trying to say this. So like I learned a lot about different people and how they operate just by like also being quite quiet, which like I don't recommend. I do not recommend, but I think right now I'm at the point in my career where like I'm now an associate and I've learned a lot about what to do and what not to do, but I'm a lot more outspoken now. And just looking back and seeing myself in these situations, I think one thing that would be my biggest advice to everyone who is like from that like more like reserved kind of mentality is that like they will walk over you. They will use you. And so like you need to be able to speak up for yourself and like also make sure that you are like you are everything. If you're asking a question, if you're answering a question, you're speaking in a lot of confidence, because without the confidence, people will use you for whatever they want and they will impose their views on you, and they will, if you're not willing to constantly speak up, like if you don't want that to happen, you need to learn how to speak up for yourself. And now that I've learned that the hard way, it's very easy for me to like speak up. And one thing I would say is how that has benefited me, but not necessarily just me, but other people, is that when I'm in a room now, because I know I'm an associate and like I'm no longer like the most junior person on the team, blah blah blah. We have about 7 people who are new in our department, in my team, associates, analysts, who have been hired in the last 6 months. And because of that, like kind of mentality that I used to have, like 3 years, 4 years ago, and how reserved I was, I'm able to observe the new joiners and the people who are similar to me in that way and encouraging them to speak up, and like speaking up to managers and saying like, this person thinks XYZ, or when I notice that someone is not speaking in a meeting, like I can be like, oh, what do you think? Or like if I notice they were trying to speak and then someone shut them down because that person is louder, I can always be like, oh, I think the bureau was trying to say something. Can we let her speak? Or things like that. Like, because I've been there, I've been in that situation. And the person who has not been there doesn't even notice when their colleague is trying to speak up and do all of those things. Like I'm in that situation, I'm in that stage of my life where it's not all about me and what I think. And I just don't want to like share my views and make my manager look like I'm the person with the best answers and questions, but like also stand up for my colleagues. Because one thing I'll say, at Bank of America, we believe in making financial lives better by the power of every connection. We deliver together. So it's not always all about me. As much as that is the case, that you have to make sure that you're excelling and you're getting the promotions you want and all of that. But I do want to make sure that we are delivering together as a team. And so like with my experiences, I try to make sure that other people feel heard in the team when they have just joined. So that's my biggest strength in terms of like, I think a lot of the new joiners lean on me for a lot of things that involve speaking to the manager or speaking up, voicing their opinion. So that's the biggest way that has helped me.
Great, amazing, amazing. And it's so much to unpack, especially as you're starting out. You don't realize that some of these biases are showing in your behavior. So, as you mentioned, being self-conscious, being aware would really, and taking feedback as well, would really set you apart. And we've mentioned a lot about soft skills and how to behave. Let's dive into some technical skills now. So I'm jumping straight into the technical question we have. What are some of the technical skills that matter most in global corporate and investment banking, especially the credit analyst division? And what do you do to actually build on them? I know there's something that our audience would find very valuable. So this question will go to Bibri.
Okay. Sorry, I keep trying to check if I'm not the only one left in the office before they lock me inside. So, um, so I think for genuinely, it's finance is straightforward. Like I said, you need to be able to sort of spend time to actually learn it if you're interested. But the core fundamentals for finance, at least for credit analysis, you need to understand your three financial statements. That's the income statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement. You need to understand them. You need to understand how they move, how they work, and what they work for, what they mean per time. Secondly, you need to be able to deduce. For example, if you see a company, say maybe a company that sells sweets, and this year they sold a lower number of sweets, however, they made more money. How do you begin to think about that? What happened? What is likely to have happened? If you sold less, but you made more money, what happened? It's simple. You increase the price. That's the only way. So it's simple qualitative and quantitative reasonings like this that make you a good investment banker or financial analyst. For investment bankers, what are they trying to do? They want to sort of identify a company as a potential target and see how they can make that company better to sell it at a better price. That's the summary of what they do. So for you to want to sort of get into these careers, you need to be putting on your deductive reasoning cap. You need to be able to deduce. You need to be good with your numbers. Yeah. Numbers crunch. Get comfortable with numbers. Multiply with your head sometimes. Don't just grab your calculator. Don't just grab your iPhone and quickly go to calculator app and try to practice. Because believe you me, sometimes in a meeting, they could be talking about a company. They're like, oh, what was their EV EBITDA? You know the enterprise value, you know the EBITDA. That means you have to multiply it. It will look funny if you just bring out your calculator and you're telling your manager, please give me a second. That can be you. So get comfortable with your numbers. As funny as it is, most people try to avoid financial modeling. Please don't be that person. If you want to be a banker, if you want to be in credit analysis, make it your bread and butter. Take time to learn what it is, how it works, what it entails. There are some courses you can find online. I think good thing is SEO also has some very good apart from the regular training they do have I think it was called CFI, Corporate Finance Institute. I don't know if they still give access to that material or platform, but they have a lot of materials and learnings on there that you can take on your own time. So self-managed or tailored learning that you can sort of use to understand financial modeling. And believe you me, it's not the first time or second time or third time you take these courses that you understand. You have to practice. Take a Saturday and decide today I want to model. It might look like madness, but once you understand it and the money starts rolling in, trust me, it'll be worth it. That's what I'll say.
Thank you for sharing that, Bibre. And conscious of time, I just have one final question to our panelists today. And that question is, what is one piece of advice that you would give to anyone in this room who is seriously considering applying for the 2026 Bank of America Global Corporate and Investment Banking Summer Internship? And I'll start with Jeanette for this one and then end with Bibre.
One piece of advice I would say, if you're considering applying, just do it. Like, just apply. But please read over your CV like 6 times. You can't have a typo in your CV. Like, if you work in a company like Bank of America, you're going to be managing millions and billions of money. Like, if you can't be diligent with your CV, like your own CV, how can you be diligent with someone's like $2 billion? Like, to put it lightly, you know? So you see, yeah. So please, like, just make sure you have a good CV and send it to people to review. And once you apply, be ready for an interview. Like, right now, I feel like the world, like most of you have life, like AI can do so much to help you prepare for an interview. Like, you could do interview pitch prep. Like, there is no reason why you should go into an interview without having never prepared like for an interview in Bank of America. So I think like you should really prepare for that. But also, maybe the final thing I would say, if you are considering applying, is to research on just the divisions that you want to apply to, and don't overthink. It's like whatever you want to apply to, research on it and then just apply. And there's so much to do. There's COO, there's GPS, there's investment banking. Like, there's so much opportunity that, like, I feel like a lot of people just stay in sales and trading or just stay in investment banking, but there's so many other divisions out there. So make sure you look at all the other ones and apply to as many as possible. Question in the chat, I did not apply again. I got an offer for my internship. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. And over to you, Bibre. One final piece of advice to all the people in the panel. Sorry, one final piece of advice to all our attendees today who are considering applying.
Sorry, guys. Something came up. I'm trying to give me a quick second. Okay, yeah. I think the question you said, big piece of advice for these guys.
Yes.
So one thing I'll say is this. I'll give you general advice. Your journey does not need to look like anyone else's. And I think that's one thing that most people don't really tend to consider. You want to sort of copy what your friends are doing, pick the division your friends are picking. Your journey doesn't have to look like anyone else's. See, investment banking rewards 3 things. I'll say it rewards clear thinking, consistency, and resilience. If you're not able to imbibe these 3 traits, you will not be able to thrive in investment banking. And that's the truth. Investment banking doesn't reward perfection. It's just clear thinking, consistency, and resilience. So one thing I'll tell you guys today is this. If you commit to building, sorry, Prince, can you mute? It's a bit distracting. Thank you. If you commit to building skills every day, it can be as little as understanding, the income statement. Commit to building a skill every day in finance. Doors will open. That's the truth. And sometimes this does open in places you could never have imagined. This is a very competitive process, and you need to be genuinely the best of the best to get in. I'll be honest with you. So it won't get handed to you on a platter. But if you are consistent, you take your time to actually understand the crux of what you want to do, I believe that you'll get in. And I'm so happy that you guys sort of joined this call and invited us, And I look forward to seeing some of you guys, shaping global finance future. That's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Bibre, and thank you, Janet, for taking time to join us this evening. We know you have very busy schedules, so again, our heartfelt thanks to you for joining us for this session. And to our audience, this ends the panel discussion for today. We know you have lots and lots of questions, so we'll take a few minutes to answer your questions. My colleague Chika, hi Chika, confirming if you can hear me. My colleague Chika will be taking it on from here.
Hi, Elizabeth, I can hear you. Thank you very much. Can you hear me, Elizabeth?
Yes, you are very clear.
All right, thank you. Thank you to our panel for the insightful information you've shared with us. To our audience, please show us appreciation. Can you just show some reaction as a way of appreciating our panel? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. All right, thank you. So we can start with the Q&A. So any question you have regarding the application, regarding Bank of America, you can raise your hand and then I'll call you so you ask your question. Okay. All right. So the first person I see on my screen is, apologies if I don't get your name right, Miguel.
Hello.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yes, my name is Miguel. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya.
Okay.
I wanted to inquire if, because in the meeting I've only seen majority of people from West Africa, and in where I come from in East Africa, I've not heard of something like this. So I wanted to inquire if this program is also for us, the people who come from the eastern part of Africa. And if it is there, how do I apply for it? Because I'm interested. I'm in my last year doing finance. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I'll just attempt answering your question. First of all, like I said, the program is open to students graduating in 2028. And of course, as long as you are in an African university, you are eligible to apply.
Okay, thank you.
Miguel, just to give you some insights, I did have some of my best friends from the program were actually from Kenya. So don't worry, SU Africa has been in Kenya for a while. You probably just didn't hear. So just, try to apply. You never can tell. You could get in.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Destiny, please unmute and ask your question. Okay, I can hear Destiny. Michelle, please unmute and ask your question.
Hello, good evening.
Sorry. Yes, good evening, Michelle.
My question is, I've heard of SU Africa from school for like a couple of months now, and I did my initial filling of form. I filled a form, and I heard from my friends that that is not the only form, that's not actually the main one, that they will send a personal one to my main account, my personal email account, and I haven't received that yet. And because of that, I haven't gone through the application process. So I'm asking, how do I go through that process? Because I've been sending emails to SEO info, the email platform, and also on the website, direct messaging platforms, but then I'm not getting any feedback. So I would like to know how exactly I can go through the application process.
So I'm not so clear what your question is. So if I get you well, you are saying you applied, and after you've applied,
Yes,
a friend
I did.
told you there's another form you have to fill. Is that what you said?
So I filled a form once, but I hear it is not the application process that we have to go through. I didn't
Okay.
get to do the aptitude test. I didn't get to do like anything that I'm hearing of during this virtual meeting. And because of that, I'm certain that I did not have the right application. And since you are saying it is still open, I was hoping to get the right channel to apply.
Okay. That's fine. So if you have any, you say you already sent an email, so we'll take a look at the email
Yes, I
you've
do.
sent. Yes, but
Okay.
the point is that the application is once you have applied and you qualify, we'll take you to the next stage. All right. So if you have applied, then that should just be fine. Right. So if you qualify,
Okay.
you get to the next stage, which is the assessment stage. Yeah.
Okay.
So so you get the aptitude test and the technical test, and the technical test if you qualify. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Very well. Yes. Amma, please unmute and speak.
Good evening. And my question is, for those of us who graduated in 2022 and now doing their masters, is there any other opportunity for us? And why is it only limited to people graduating in 2028? I mean, if it's just an internship, we can as well participate in it.
Okay. So I would just say that's the requirement for this year, and actually even for previous years. Right. Yeah, of course, not the 2028 is, I mean, pertaining to this particular year. Yes, it's pertaining to this particular year. But in your case, you can apply since you are still in school and you say you are doing your master's. Just give it a try. So, I mean, I would just encourage everyone, give it a try. I mean, if you think that you have what it takes to be able to go through the process, I mean, there's no harm in trying. So you can give it a try.
Okay, thank you.
Um, Animal, please submit us.
All right, so I hope I'm audible.
Yes, please. I can hear you.
Okay, great. All right, so my question is a little off because you're talking about the internship program. I'm coming from the perspective where I just graduated, and after graduate, I got to hear of SU Africa and their program. So I want to know if there are other programs that is geared for those who just graduated to apply for these opportunities too. And if that's the case, then maybe the process in doing that.
Okay. If I got your question right, you're asking that you are graduating this year and you want to know if
Yeah,
there
I
are opportunities
graduated
for you.
this
Is that your
year.
okay? So you want to know if there are
Absolutely.
opportunities for you. All right. So I will encourage you to check our website. We have a number of programs that we run aside the Bank of America program or the international programs. We have other programs, especially in-country programs and so on. You can look at them and see which of them you are eligible for or will be eligible for, and I mean you can definitely for the application or give it a try. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So can I proceed with it? I don't know.
Can you
Can I
proceed
go
with
on?
what? Yeah, I'm asking,
Okay.
I'm telling you that, yeah, so just check our website. That's what I said. Check our website. There are a number of programs that we run. For this particular process, that's the Bank of America process. It is for people graduating in 2028. If you are graduating this year, that is outside of the eligibility. So my encouragement rather is that you go to our website. We have a number of programs and you can check to see which of them you will qualify for. Yeah.
Okay. So the analyst program, there's no direct link to maybe apply for the analyst program for maybe Bank of America or something like that. Like associate.
Mm,
The new grad. I saw something like the new grad.
Okay. I'm not sure what you are referring to. I'm not too sure if it is about I'm not sure if it is about this very program, but you can send us an email if you think that there's a strong issue that we need to clarify for you. You can send us an email and we can clarify it for you. Yes, animal. Yes, new law. Alan, sorry. Alan, please ask your question.
Okay, so my name is Alan. I'm a second year student in Strathmore University, pursuing accounting and finance. And my question goes to those in Bank of America already. So it is often understood that investment banking firms are usually split into either industry or product. and with some firms only being in one line, such as Catalyst, only focusing on tech M&A. So my question is, when you do join for the internship, are you usually allocated to a specific industry or product, or do you have the option of choosing it? Say you want to specifically go into, say, healthcare, or you want to go into M&A specifically. Do you have that choice, or do they allocate you to a group? Thank you.
Alan, you said your question is going to who?
I believe it's Janet and
Okay.
Bibire.
All
Yes.
right, that's fine. Yes, our panel. Yes, so Janet and Bibi, any of you can take the question.
I would say like for credit specifically, we in Bank of America we don't have industry teams. Maybe in her current company they do have industry teams, but we have geography. We are split by geography, so it's very much industry agnostic, and so you get to work across all industries, but for a specific geography. So my coverage is for UK, Ireland, and Central Eastern Europe. So I didn't get to choose at the time of internship. Typically, they'll say, like, for all of credit, we have headcounts for this number. And so they kind of just assign you to a particular team randomly, depending on what the team leads want. However, within investment banking itself, it's quite similar, specifically for the Africa program, where, like, it starts off being general, and maybe Bibria can speak more to this because I know she did an investment banking internship, whether or not like she got a team before she joined. But I would say from my experience, it's quite, you don't get to choose at the time of applying. You will apply to investment banking, but you don't necessarily get to choose whether you end up in M&A or TMT or like the industry groups until like probably you might get to choose at the final stage, but most likely you just turn up and then you are in a team for the Africa program. I think it's a bit different from when you are applying and you live like in the UK and you're applying to be an analyst from the scratch. Then you can apply to a specific team. So whatever team needs like a new analyst, they open the application for that specific team. So the internships typically is just quite random.
Okay, thank you very much. And my second question is, it is often considered etiquette in such top banks to live in a certain hierarchy from the highest position to the lowest. So you often find that it's the
Sorry, quick one. Did you
MDs.
say etiquette?
Yes, it's considered good etiquette in investment banking and generally in investment banking that people live according to hierarchy. So you find that the MDs live first, then VPs, associates, analysts, as per maybe what we've seen online. So in the case that you have completed your duties early on, what exactly are you usually allowed to leave early, or you just do something to respect that?
Right now I'm the only one here. Sorry, not right now. Yesterday, I'll give you an example live. Yesterday, the MD and my team and I were the last two to leave the office. But then there are other analysts, VPs, and directors who had left already. Oftentimes the MD is the last to leave in my team. In other teams, the MD is the first to leave. Like sometimes the MDs are going to pick up their kids from school, so they leave at like 4:30, for example. It's not very clear cut. However, I would say like in hardcore investment banking, because I work in investment banking credit, in hardcore like investment banking, you tend to see the ANA stay late, much later. And by the way, if in case anyone didn't know, like the work-life balance is the best in investment banking. So like you might see the analysts and associates there till like after 1 a.m. or something, where maybe the MDs will go home, they'll still log in, then the analysts and associates kind of stay in the office for a long time. I'm just looking at Miguel's face and it's sending me when I said 1 a.m. Yeah, 1 a.m. sometimes. Yeah, so no, there's no clear-cut rule. Sometimes you might see some MD stay, but I would say in IVK, in investment banking, you sometimes see more of that happening where you have the MDs leaving first. But between VPs, associates, and analysts, like no one really, there's no kind of hierarchy to say that you have to be there for a long time. But sometimes if you were working with an MD on a specific project, right, and you've not finished. So your question was more like you've actually finished what you need to do. Just go home. No one cares. But if you've actually not finished what you need to do and you're working with an MD or a VP on this particular project, the VP is still there, but you're going home. Like you probably like feel a bit guilty about it. So you might probably just stay to do it. Me personally, at this point in my life, like if I need to go home, I just kind of go. Even if the MD is still there, usually.
Janet, I would have to interrupt you there, please.
Yes,
please
go on.
stay back. Don't leave until your VPs and
Sorry.
MDs leave.
Don't listen to me. We are African, please. We don't have that flexibility.
Yes. Please
Yeah.
stay. It's for SEO, it's literally first in, last out. Yeah? I'm leaving just now, and that's because my MD has finally left. So please, yes, it's first in, last out. I know sometimes you might get to a stage where
Are
you
you
have
the
that
last out
flexibility.
now?
I am. But I've been back home to continue working. So yeah, please, first in, last out.
Okay, thank you so much. I think that was really valuable for all of us. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm trying to raise my hand, but I can't find how to raise my hand. But can I just say this? There's one institution that I believe is very important, which is marriage. So if you're married and you have to spend time with family, you have to check homework, you have to do this, you have to do that. Must you wait for boss to leave before you leave? Like I agree with
Vivire, that's a question for you. Don't worry, Vivire will answer your question. But she's married and she has a child.
Yes, I am married. I have a child. My husband is calling me. I'm late, but yes. I think that's where partnership is important. You need to have a partner that understands sometimes the work demands are the work demands. I wouldn't advise two investment bankers to get married, to be honest, because there'll basically be no time. But but then again, just try to, I think, sort of align your priorities. Like I said, I have 3 days in every month. I make sure nothing interrupts. I have to get home early. I have to spend time with family. And, during the week or during the weekends, we try maybe every 2 weekends, we go out, travel, go for like a day trip, go picnicking, do something. But you have to be intentional about it. It wouldn't work if you just let it, I don't know, run free, if that makes sense.
well, yeah, I think it does. It does. But you need
Hi,
good rest to
hi,
be able to function properly. You need good rest to be able to function the next day properly. And the doctors will tell you you must get at least 8 hours of sleep. So you cannot cheat nature because you want to quote unquote
hi,
climb up.
Perry. Can you hear me? Hi, Perry. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, I can hear you.
Yes. So I believe your question is well answered. So
No, it
we'll
hasn't been
take.
well answered at all.
Okay, that's fine. You can send an email to ACU Africa for better explanation if you need further insight. Thank you very much. Let's go to, so we have to end the session pretty soon because we are far behind time. New love, so I can just take probably 3 questions. I mean, it should be a single question each, so we can end the session. Yes, so new love, please ask your question, a single one.
Yes, please. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I would like to ask that as someone who is completely new to the financial sector, but I'm coming from an engineering that's the Bank of America value technical problem solving skill. versus traditional finance knowledge in the global technology division?
Answer. Yes. Yes, literally, yes. I mean, I did tell you at the point in time when I started, I was studying veterinary medicine, so it has nothing to do. In fact, engineering, I would say for a fact, has a closer inclination to sort of thrive in finance compared to veterinary medicine. And that's because the skill set is a bit different. But for engineers, you have that problem solving, like you mentioned, it's very critical. You also crunch numbers if you're in a very numerical engineering study, a course of study. Yes, absolutely, it's for you. I know for the technical divisions, sometimes they usually require a bit of coding. Yeah, I know coding skills, but I don't know if specifically the roles that they're hiring for require that. But I think the team at SEO would answer that question.
All right, thank you. So we'll take the next question. Elizabeth, please ask your question quickly. Then we'll go to Angelo.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My question is directed to Bibi. I want to ask, what advice would you give someone who doesn't just want to return, but is considering a return offer? How can the person begin to make their internship to better stand out for the opportunity to get a return offer? Thank you.
Sorry, Elizabeth, I lost you for a bit. Maybe you type a question. Yeah, I barely heard you. Sorry.
I was saying that what advice would you give someone who doesn't just want to be parent but is considering a return offer? How would the person best behave during their internship?
Elizabeth, sorry.
To get a return offer.
Okay,
Sorry to interrupt. Did you hear the question?
Yeah, I think she said, how would someone who is applying for an internship conduct themselves so that they are best positioned to get a return offer? Is that correct, Elizabeth?
Yes.
That's correct. Okay. I think it's a cumulative of all the things we've been saying all day. But I don't know, Janet, do you want to take this one? Maybe give any specific tips
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay. All right. So one typical example is first in, last out. Generally, they expect that when you join the bank, they want to see you're not lazy, you're applying effort. So even sometimes if you finish your deliverables, if your senior colleagues are still around, it's best to just sort of stay back, ask them if there's anything you can help out with. It could be simple tasks like maybe, okay, read through these financials, identify the errors in this memo or something simple. And trust me, those little help that you could offer your senior colleagues or current staff of the bank would leave your name in their minds. So by the time it's time to sort of select the interns who are getting return offers, they know, oh, Elizabeth actually helped me evaluate these financials. Elizabeth actually helped me download this annual report. Elizabeth also reached out to S&P to get some information. Just this little sleek touches make the difference. Let me tell you this now. Everybody who's going to get that offer to do the internship is smart. So what you need to do now is find a way to differentiate yourself. And keep in mind that you're not just interning with other Africans. You have people coming from schools like Bocconi, schools like LBS, London Business School, schools like Harvard. Literally, it's going to be a very packed analyst class. So if everybody there is smart, some smarter than others, you might argue, what will be your differentiating factor? Right? And that's the question I want you to answer. So if what differentiates you is that this lady Elizabeth would literally make sure, every piece of work that's available to her is done, or this lady Elizabeth would always have a very insightful question to ask, or this lady Elizabeth is good with, just be good at something, differentiate yourself. And yeah, you get the return offer.
All right, thank you. I believe, Elizabeth, your question is answered. So I'll just take the final question from Angelo, and we can call it a day. Angelo, please ask your question, a single one.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. I am Angelo Dalmeda, Young Business School student, and thank you for the presentation. I would like to ask some questions to Bibire. I also study medicine in Burkina Faso, and I would like to know what led you to go on investment banking opportunity after your studies. And because me also I did the medical study, and I did the interview for the spring program, but unfortunately I didn't get the offer. So I would like to apply for a summer internship program in 2027, and I would like to know some insight from you. And if possible, can you add me back on LinkedIn to go further, please? Thank you.
Bonjour, Angelo. Ça va?
Oui, bonjour, ça va très bien, merci beaucoup.
Okay, it's very lovely to hear from you, a fellow medic. So I think the reason why, how did you apply to the spring program? Was it via SEO?
Yeah, but I am with SEO Europe, not SEO Africa, because I am now in Lyon Business School. Yeah,
D'accord, d'accord. So I
but
think the best thing for you to do genuinely is that it's best for you to sort of align with the SEO Europe. So while I'm here in the UK, I also I'm a part of SEO London. So when opportunities come up, they tend to also share. Because you are not currently domiciled in Africa, it might be difficult for them to consider your application as part of the SEO Africa application. But I don't know if one of the checker or one of the guys could confirm if that's the case. Is that the case?
Yes, you should be studying African universities.
Yes, you have to be studying. So, exactly. So I think what you would need to do, I mean, I'm happy to sort of review check for your LinkedIn request. I think it's in your name. I would see if I can make any connections with SU in Europe so that way you can sort of reach out to them to apply. Or if you're studying in Europe and you are applying in Africa, it's very unlikely for it to work out. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay?
okay, it's so clear. Thank you.
Cool.
Merci beaucoup.
Arian.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. So I believe at this point your questions are answered. I can still see some hands up, but unfortunately it is 7:49 Ghana time. We are far behind time, so we are unable to admit further questions. If you have a burning question, you can send it to us at AC Africa. We will be happy to
Please,
respond
it's
to
a
you.
short question and it's in the chat group. If you could, it's on the test, the aptitude and technical test. If you've done it, how long would you get a feedback? Would you get an instant feedback or?
It's not immediate. There's actually no timeline as to when you will receive feedback on your assessments. Yeah, but it will not take so long. Yes, there's no, fixed timeline. But it wouldn't take so long for you to get feedback on your assessments. But we do not also share scores, if that is what your question is about. We don't share assessment scores with candidates, but you'll get to know if you are going to the next stage after having taken the assessment.
Thank you.
Okay, very well. Thank you very much. I can still see some questions in the chat, but unfortunately, because of time, we are unable to respond to all of them. Yes, so I will encourage you, please join tomorrow's session and the subsequent sessions and ask your questions again, and hopefully you'll get the opportunity to have those questions answered. Or like I said, send us a message at ACO Africa, info at ACOAfrica.com. All right. Okay, so at this point, yes, who is speaking? Who is speaking?
It's Samuel Balu.
Yes, Samuel.
Yeah. So yeah, that's fine. Mine actually is not really a question. I cannot remember. We met in 2014 in Tumu when you were in high school. So I dropped my number in the comment section so that we can reconnect.
Okay,
Yeah,
I hear you.
So I remember those days when we were actually studying accounting, business, at Tumu sector.
Yeah. I hear you, Samuel. Yes. Don't worry.
So,
That's all right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you to our panel for joining us this afternoon or this evening. It's been very insightful. You sharing the experience and what you have been through with us. That was very helpful, and we are thankful. Yes, and also thank you to our participants for joining the session for today. And we encourage you to please submit your applications to ask for the Bank of America program, and who knows, you may as well be the next person to join the Bank of America program at Bank of America as an intern. Yes. All right. So just give it a try. So to apply, you can check our social media pages. You will, especially LinkedIn, you'll find the application link over there to apply. Or I'm just pasting the link once more for people who may not be able to see the link through our social media. So I'm just pasting the application link on the chats. So you can copy it to your browser and then try accessing it. So you can put forward your application. So in there also is the what we call the resource hub, which gives further information and insights on the various divisions, including GCIB, which we just talked about today. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, and enjoy your evening.